I'm Bree Glaeser, and I'm an innovation strategist. I currently work at the Mars agency, but my background is in strategic design. So I got into voice based on trying to solve like a shopper problem, and just kind of trying to combine emerging platforms with changing shopper behaviors. So now I work predominantly in voice for the Mars agency, which is a marketing agency.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what has you really excited about the conversation space?
I think the fact that it is so low friction is really like the key. And I know like what got me so excited was kind of as a consumer actually, in engaging with my Amazon Alexa and realizing how addictive it is. That really showed me like the potential for it. Society-wide, it's going to be I think it's going to change so much. And then from a professional side, I think what's exciting about it is that it's a really interesting design challenge to actually try to build for conversations and design for conversations rather than designing like visual interfaces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be an interesting crossover for what you guys are doing with having the visual and the voice to like drive something.
Right.
So I think that's kind of the next thing. But,
yeah.
So that's kind of what I view as kind of the next barrier. In the next 5 years, what do you think is the barrier that the industry has to get over before it really is predominantly everywhere?
Yeah. I think when it comes, I think discoverability is a huge issue that like the brands we work with are dealing with. So they want to build engaging experiences for their customers that's going to add value to their lives. But it's hard right now for a user to encounter that and know how to use it and use it as organically as they use the native platform. So I think that needs to be kind of finessed a little bit better. But once that's working, it's better for the consumer and for the brand.
Yeah, it's real difficult when you can't present that much information all at once.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for sure. Can you describe for me kind of that moment maybe before you got into bots or even knew they really were a thing, that real aha moment of like, oh, this is a thing and it's time to really, really work on this?
Yeah. Again, it's somewhat driven by, my personal experience using the Amazon Alexa, which I thought was just like, I found myself in a hotel room one day saying like, Alexa, what is the weather? And there was no Alexa around to answer my question. And I also, even in my own home, I find myself wanting to ask her to do things, and I say her, even though it's a computer, ask her to do things that I haven't hooked up yet. Like, oh, I wish I could ask her to turn on the TV. And so I think just intuitively, it's so obvious like how much potential there is for it to shape people's behaviors and change people's behaviors. So that's what excites me.
I did that in one of the hotels here.
Yeah.
Same exact thing.
Yeah, it's so useful.
Come on, just do it. And then maybe if you can't come up with something for this one, that's fine. But if you got to ask one question of all your users, and you got it answered definitively by them, what would you love to know?
Oh, that is a hard one. I think, that like a specific question is so dependent on the context and the use case. I would love, our design really hinges on actual research with consumers, and I think that building the right experience also does too. I think it's not enough to just like brainstorm that conversation. I think you need to actually have conversations with people and see how they really play out. So I guess that's sort of not answering your question, but I just think there's huge value in like being able to talk to them at all, and particularly around sort of the whatever use case you're designing for, and just have like an organic conversation because that helps you build the experience.
I would actually, from what little I heard from what you were describing on the stage, I would love to know like how many customers are around while the one person is talking to the Alexa.
Yeah.
I would love to know. And what those people are thinking at the time.
Right. I mean, when we launched it, it was definitely like a very entertaining thing, and there were a lot of people around. But normally I think it's kind of like I do think it's contagious, right? Like you kind of watch someone do it and you're like, oh, people are just amazed at the end when the lights like light up your, because you actually can't quite tell that that's what's going to happen. And then it's like these beautiful lights are sort of designed to look a little bit like the ring on the top of the Alexa with that diffused light. So anyways, it's very delighting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I would love to go experience it. That's great.
Yeah, it's super useful.
Only in New York right now?
Yes, right now, but it will be other places. We've had a lot of interest from both retailers and brands. So
That's awesome.
yeah, hopefully there'll be something here that you can encounter soon.
Yes.
Yeah.